The prairie was quiet that night, too quiet for a land known for coyotes and wind songs. Eli Barnes felt it the moment he stepped out of his old barn. Something was watching him, not with the eyes of a predator, but with desperation. That was. The moment he saw him, a giant of a man broad-shouldered, towering, limping hard with every step, merged from the silhouettes of the cottonwoods. Moonlight flashed across the steel plate strapped to his arms. The painted feathers in his hair, the long bone-handled spear dragging in the dirt behind him. He looked like a warrior, carved out of legend, and he was losing blood fast. Eli didn't reach for his rifle. Something deeper than caution pushed him forward. Instinct. Maybe faith. The warrior's eyes were burning with pride, yet dimming with exhaustion. Horse. Need horse. Eli had only one riding horse left, an old but loyal buckskin named Rook. Without him, Eli wouldn't be able to haul his winter supplies, ride to town, or defend his lonely ranch. But the giant was about to collapse, and sometimes a man doesn't. Need a reason to do the right thing? Eli untied Rook without hesitation. "Take him," he said quietly. The warrior blinked. Stunned, no one gives away a horse on the frontier, especially not to a wounded stranger. But Eli pressed the reins into his hands anyway. The giant mounted with difficulty, nodded once, and disappeared into the night without another word. Eli didn't know that this single act of kindness would rewrite the rest of his life. The day of Tr by sunrise. Eli wondered whether he had been a fool. Winter was crawling in. He barely had enough hay to feed the cattle he had left, and his barn roof still needed patching. He had nothing to spare. But that night, something stirred again beyond the cottonwoods. Not one man, not two, but 30 warriors. Mounted on painted horses, riding in near silence, Eli froze. A pit formed in his stomach. Raiders? Revenge? Retribution? Then he saw him, the same giant warrior, no longer limping, wrapped in fresh bandages, sitting tall and proud at the front. The warriors halted before Eli's barn. The giant stepped down carefully. "You gave me a horse in the dark," he said. "Now at sunrise, I return what honor demands." He raised his hand and motioned. 2 warriors dismounted. They carried sacks. Heavy sacks. Sacks that clinked. Eli's mouth went dry. The giant walked closer. "I am Kada, war chief of the Bear Hills. Last night, your horse carried me to safety and saved the life of my son." Eli blinked. "Your son?" Kada nodded. "He was wounded. I could not reach him on foot, but your horse," the giant's voice broke for the first time. "Your horse carried a father back to his child." Eli didn't know what to say. Kada continued. "In our way, a gift that saves blood is repaid in gold." He motioned again, and the warriors began filling Eli's barn with grain, not with supplies, but with raw gold nuggets and carved gold ingots. So heavy they thudded like cannonballs when dropped on the wooden floor. Eli stumbled back. "We'll wait? This is too much. I didn't help for payment." Kada looked at him with a calm, knowing expression. "A man who gives with no thought of reward is the man who deserves the greatest reward. But gold is never just gods." The warriors stacked the gold. Kaita's second-in-command, a severe man with hawk-like eyes, stepped forward. "This land grows more dangerous," he said tightly. "Gangs, prospectors, men who would kill a whole valley for what sits in your barn." Eli swallowed. Kaita rested one massive hand on his shoulder. "We do not give death as a gift, so we will guard what you hold." "Guard it?" The IoT. Kaita nodded. "Your barn," he said softly, "will be our vault, our tribe's treasure, our future." Eli's heart thumped. "But why trust me?" Kaita's eyes softened in a way Eli didn't expect from a warrior so feared. "Because you trusted me when I was bleeding in your yard? Threats in the DAR K4 weeks." The prairie watched in silence as Kaita's warriors camped around Eli's ranch, silent shadows, fierce protectors. Eli's loneliness faded for the first time in years. He shared meals with them, swapped stories by firelight, and learned bits of their language. But not everyone welcomed this alliance. 3 prospectors saw the warriors. They saw the constant patrols. They felt the gold in the air like wolves scenting a wounded deer. One night, they made their move. Eli was awakened by Rook's panicked "Knife a horse" he thought he'd lost, but who had been returned to him. As a gesture of loyalty, gunshots echoed. War cries split the night. Eli grabbed his rifle and ran into the yard. Warriors had already surrounded the attackers. One prospector fired wildly and hit Kaya's second-in-command in the shoulder. Eli didn't think. He raised his rifle, breathing steady, and fired a warning shot inches from the attacker's boot. The man froze. "Drop it," Eli yelled. The prospectors did. Kaida stepped forward, fierce as a storm. "Your kindness saved my life," he told Eli. "Tonight, your courage saved my brother." Eli's breath shook with adrenaline. "We're family now," he said. And he meant it. The decision that changed EVR-wide, Cheonji, winter broke into spring. The gold remained untouched. To Eli, it wasn't wealth, it was trust. One day Kaida approached him with a solemn expression. "The tribe has chosen," he said. "We want you to keep half." Eli staggered. "Half? I can't." Kaida raised a hand. "The man who guards gold with honor will use it with honor." Eli's throat tightened. "You gave me a horse," Kaida said. "Well, I give you a future." A new BGN, Angeli used the gold not to change his life, but to change the valley. He built a schoolhouse, repaired old homesteads, helped widows with cattle feed and children with shoes. He built a small medical cabin for the tribe and townsfolk alike. People asked how he afforded it. He only smiled. Kindness returns in ways you can't measure. Kaida and the Bear Hills tribe visited often. Their children grew up playing in the fields around Eli's ranch. Rook, old but stubborn, became a legend of his own. Years later, Eli's barn was still called the Golden Barn, but everyone in the valley knew. The real treasure wasn't the gold. It was what one act of compassion create a bond between people who were never meant to cross paths, and a legacy that would outlive them all. Final message: a single act of kindness can outshine an entire lifetime of struggle, and sometimes the smallest sacrifice comes someone else's miracle.